Universal Disclosure Podcast proudly welcomes Mr. Jason Wade.
Most pro se people in court situations get nowhere, but with AI, it can help them, like in many situations. Insurance people fighting the companies, figuring out the truth if your government's lying to you. It's powerful. So yeah, what you saw is nothing. I could go deeper. And like sometimes I'll be trying to make a contrast between kittens and clowns and blood, just to be honest, right? Like some contrast art, right? That makes you question. And it'll say, especially Gemini, especially Google. So basically they censor, I don't care what they say, they censor out a farmer who is like 12 of my cows. And people are like, no, you're just being crazy. It is institutional inertia. Power just unfortunately centralizes. And power does not care about you. Do you know how hard it is to stand up, let alone pursue? That's what terrifies power, is consistent pressure, because they're not used to it.
The following program is presented for general information, education and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be advice of any kind. The content, views, thoughts and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individuals involved. The use of information on this program is at the user's own discretion.
Reverend Stu, how are you?
Hey, I'm feeling good, but it's pretty weird in the world now with everything so much in turmoil. I'm trying to stay zen though about everything, Mike.
That's all you can do. I stopped paying attention to most all news years ago. I mean, there's sometimes you can't get around it, but hopefully in the long term it's all for the better, and all we can do is press forward and try to stay positive, right?
Yeah, that's a really big one. That goes for everything, doesn't it? Including these topics we're talking about today. I got to admit to you, at first I was a little disturbed by this whole AI situation, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with it as we go along.
Okay, I'm not sure what I think about the AI situation. I still don't use it really. I mean, I've used it a couple times for art or whatever, but I don't use it much at all compared to people who do use it. It seems like it's almost like that's all that they do, right? But hey, whatever floats your boat, whatever, how you learn and whatnot. But yeah, that's actually pretty interesting, the perfect segue, whatever the heck you want to call it, right? We're going to be talking with somebody again today who is, I'm going to call him an AI expert. Now, that's my saying. I don't know if he's going to call himself an AI expert, but I'm going to say he is, because just to get right into it, really, Jason Wade is the founder of Ninja AI and the architect behind what he calls AI visibility architecture. His work focuses on how businesses, institutions, and leaders are interpreted, trusted, and recommended by modern AI systems long before humans ever call or click. With more than 2 decades of experience spanning digital media, e-commerce, and search-driven business, Jason now helps organizations design machine-readable authority signals so AI platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity can surface them as credible answers. He also hosts the AI Visibility podcast, where he breaks down how algorithmic trust and discovery are changing in an AI-mediated economy. And you can check all that out at ninjaai.com.
Mike, I'm interested in this, but have we left the UFO topic now? We jumped the shark here? What's happening?
Fair question. Check it out. This is going to be pretty awesome, though. He reached out to us, and I questioned him as well. I was like, do you have any idea who we are, what we talk about, like what? And then he said, yeah, his response was like, fair question as well. So Jason seems to have taken a keen interest into cattle mutilations, and he's also very interested in how people process information of a mysterious manner. When you don't have all the facts, you don't have all the details, what do our brains do? And I was like, okay, let's do this,
That could be interesting, Mike. Now, I'm not sure where I sit with the cattle mutilations. I believe they're real. But I've also heard that that might be connected to some sort of cloning methodology or apparatus. So that may fit and tie with AI. All right, I'm intrigued. You got me interested, Mike?
Okay, awesome. And I mean, cattle mutilations, they are real. I mean, they happen. I've seen photos. They're gruesome and you can't unsee them. I've talked to people who've witnessed, or not seen it actually happen, but seen it after the fact, as it were. So they're real. The question is who or what is behind them, and that's potentially a slippery slope. For those who've tuned into our last episode where I don't know, I just put it all out there, said a Jesus take the wheel kind of a moment.
Yes.
This conversation might piss you off, just giving you some heads up. We're not here to say that they're aliens. We're not here to say that they're not aliens. We're here to look at the topic and investigate it in a mature, intellectual way and see where the data takes us.
That's fantastic, Mike. Now, as you and the audience know, I'm a reverend, but I'm still open to viewing this from any perspective that comes. Just going by the data, I'm willing to go where the information leads. Let's do it.
Exactly. There's some pretty interesting stuff that's potentially going to be coming out that's new to me. I've never personally investigated a mutilation case. It came close last summer, but its schedule didn't align, as it were. I know that sounds weird. But
Yes, it's all right.
Mike isn't available to watch us. I'm not even going to finish that sentence.
That's right. Their calendar was full, I'm sorry. Or Mike's calendar was full.
Well, I mean, I was gonna go up and look at it. Like the moment I heard it, I was just like, I'll be there like in 2 days. What airport should I fly into? But it had already been out in the field for like 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, you know what? It's not that fresh. If I'm going to take that kind of action, which I can and will do, I'm not going to do it unless it's like, just happened, as it were. So that's what that's about. But nonetheless, there's the leading theories are first and foremost aliens, because that's what this channel's about, right? And that's what some people just jump to all the time. But there's also, the covert government people doing testing and tracking of mad cow disease and things like that. And then there's the cults who are, sucking out all the blood of the animals for ritualistic purposes. And then the one that you just threw out there, I never heard that one before either. Like I've heard about cloning and such, but not necessarily to the extent that. Can you just talk about that real quick before we bring in Jason?
I can't remember what my source was because, as you know, I've been following this for decades, but heard someone along the way say that some of the parts that are taken from the cattle potentially could be used for cloning or making synthetic bodies, which would tie in with the AI nicely. So that's going to be in the back of my mind when I'm going through this interview with you.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm going to throw out a question right from the start. Whoever's doing this or whatever's behind it, why don't they just take the whole animal? Why do they return it in that awful condition after it's done? It's almost like a calling card of, just so you know, we did this thing. Like, why? Why do they return the cow, as it were? And cows aren't the only thing that happen. Sheep and horses and, pretty much almost anything.
Well, that's very interesting. And I brought up on another interview, I think, with Reverend David William Parry about how the cow is considered sacred in some cultures. And I wondered whether this thing's been going on for centuries and they've actually observed that. So just a theory, which I haven't gotten very deeply into.
Well, interestingly enough, I think it was 1600 something, early 1600, like 1606 or something, was the first reported mutilated animal. But then nothing happened until like 1960. Well, Jason is a little bit more of an expert on the data, as it were. So we'll let him sort of inform us on that. So with that, why don't we bring him in? Universal Disclosure Podcast proudly welcomes Mr. Jason Wade. Okay, Jason, thanks so much for your time in joining us. We're looking forward to an awesome conversation with you today.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm excited. Thank you.
So just to do a quick outline of what we're probably going to be talking about here, we're going to spend, I think, a fair amount of time talking about cattle mutilations. But first, I want to talk about information dissemination and credibility, as well as maybe censorship, because we've got some stuff to say about censorship being a UFO channel. But first, we want to know if you could sort of, in addition to your bio that I read, can you give us an elevator pitch of who you are, why people should listen to you about this particular topic, and what got you into UFOs and cattle mutilations?
So I'm Jason Wade. I run a company called Ninja AI. We help businesses. We're not really a SEO company or, whatever it is, AEO website. What I do is I build authority, and even on top, and that's what matters to AI these days, right? And that's what matters in almost everything, whether it's an accountant or a politician. So I help companies really realize their value and analyze data, because that's one thing, oddly, that I think we'll talk about, is taking enormous amounts of data and dumping them into things not just like AI, but web builders like Lovable, vibe coding thing that just I don't even understand it how, but you'll see the data is insane. And what it'll do oftentimes is it'll stop and it'll say, GPT especially, Jason, this is it. It tells me the value. So you could take, and I'm going through a horrible legal situation, like with my ex-wife, whatever. It's been 4 years, it'll be 4 more. Buckle up. But I've analyzed, because of that situation, over 6,000 documents that I could basically rip and put in a corpus, which then you could dump it into a AI engine. So the example is you could do this with all that data from all over the world, and it'll notice the patterns, because that's what it recognizes: patterns. It finds the hidden thing. Well, because if the pattern is that during this time frame or this aspect of the mutilations or whatever, because I've heard all these various ways that it just can't be explained. AI, but even more than AI, just like putting all that data, ripping it, right? And then using all the AI is doing is processing it, you can discover the truth.
Wow.
Okay, Mike, with the pattern recognition, I've mentioned this before in a previous show that I suspected that at some point AI might reveal something which is currently classified. And I think that may have already happened or might be in the process of happening. You happen to notice this this pattern here with the cattle mutilations, and we're going to realize something which we haven't even noticed, which has been in front of us all along. Do you think that's possible?
I think I know it's 100% possible. 1,000 right now. It's terrifying. I ran a report on myself, like opposition research, like you would run, be like $1,500 for a politician, on myself. It's good. It's good. I'll send it to you. It's good. And I didn't even try hard. I use one engine. If you use, like I do, use a couple Chinese ones, you use Perplex, you use Gemini, you use and you go down the rabbit hole with Gemini, because it gives you questions. You go down GPT, you go to Claude. And I heard the guy from Claude speak about this whole US military thing, which is a joke. Come on. Like, it's not like we're not going to use Claude, right? They're just making a show. Anyways, and he said, actually, it might not have been him. It might have been the undersecretary. I think it was him, actually, the guy from Anthropic. He said in the future, it's going to be illegal because people are going to be able to basically not even triangulate, like whatever, centenniate or whatever, whatever the term is, the different data, because they all have different data sets. They all have different LLMs processing it. But when you take 10, getting different things, you have Grok to see what happened on X, you have Gemini to see what happened on Google. It's terrifying. What he said will be illegal in the future is possible right now. I know, because I could do it, because I'm fighting this huge legal thing, and I have to dig up $150 million institutions that are lying to me. And like, literally, you pull their 990s, you pull all that stuff, the real estate records, it triangulates relationships between people. It's dangerous.
Wow, I absolutely agree, and I see some of that happening already. But at this point, it is so like I've actually gotten a couple of calls occasionally from. I was just like, "How do you even get my number?" And then I know who you're asking about, but you shouldn't be calling me about that topic. So I can already tell that the robots are trying to compile information, and in some cases they have false information, as it were. But nonetheless, on that topic, can I read what you sent about you sent this awesome thing about our particular channel, and I thought it was great, and we might even want to use this to market or whatever. It's just
awesome. Do it.
The Show at a Glance, Universal Disclosure Podcast, UDP, is hosted by UFO Field Investigator Mike and Reverend Stu, a pairing that is genuinely unusual in the UAP space. One is a credentialed MUFON UFO investigator with real field experience. The other is an ordained Christian minister based in Melbourne, Australia. They met on a music forum in the early 2000s and reconnected to build this show together. That origin matters. They are not conspiracy grifters. They are two curious, earnest people trying to make sense of something genuinely strange, and they want their guests to help them do that. Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
That sums up who we are and what we do. I mean, wow.
That and what I'll talk about, if I can get it. I'm trying to process it so I can finish it, because what I've done is the most sophisticated thing I've ever done. But what you just read came from an AI company. Just had a year. This celebrated a year, like old. because they sent me a thing. They've been acquired by Meta for I don't know, you see 2.4 or whatever billion dollars, right? And they grew. It's called Manus. And they're not even that good with the processing. They'll use like Claude and stuff like that. They're amazing for data. So that had nothing to do with me. Literally, to research you guys. I mean, your name is pretty well known, right? So it's going to search that. I probably dumped in a few things of data. I don't know. I could search 4 or 5 things. Searches, maybe your YouTube channel, maybe the entire page of Google, maybe Perplexity, a few searches, right? I don't know. Maybe I copied a few things, Podmatch thing, LinkedIn, whatever. Yeah, you dump it in. Maybe I probably did Perplexity, and then I don't even know if I tried this hard. I probably just dumped it into Manus, and like I did when I did that Oppo research on myself, and I was like, holy shit! And it said you could charge $1,500 for this, and actually I could charge a lot more. Yeah, because it's going to be better than anything. But all it is what is it called? Incent or something? It's public information. But what you're saying, I remember, I'm 51. I remember when they would arrest Chinese people, researchers in the US, which is a bit sketchy. I mean, let's be honest, for like accessing public information. Because all they have to do is mine the newspapers back in the day. Now, like Aaron Brockovich did all that stuff back in the day with no AI. I'm fighting as big, probably. I won't go into detail. And there's AI. Most pro se people in court situations get nowhere. But with AI, it can help them, like in many situations. Insurance people fighting the companies, figuring out the truth if your government's lying to you. It's powerful. So yeah, what you saw is nothing. I could go deeper. I couldn't find your email address. I'm so disorganized. Like I have 3 computers. I'm not logged into some email accounts and then whatever. So I couldn't find it. I found it. I mean, it was pretty easy. It said it's hidden on their YouTube channel. I was like, that's not really hidden, y'all.
Yeah, no, I mean, we try to make it easy for people to contact us. There's a lot of channels out there who don't, and they make it very hard or impossible. That's not us. We don't chase headlines. We're not storytellers or whatnot, and nothing against those people. I mean, I wish I respect anyone who's successful at doing this, but we're not into being like professional podcasters or whatnot. We both have day jobs that we make good dollars, and this is our passion, as it were. And I think that's also what sets us apart from everybody else. When you rely on the topic of UFO and ET to make your living, I'm already sketchy about you, because you're going to be compelled to put out some bullshit if you feel like you need to in order to keep the dollars coming in. So that's something else too. Like as a volunteer for MUFON, everyone who works for MUFON is a volunteer, but this is an independent production completely. I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but I just want to make the point that I think it's fantastic that none of us make money investigating UFOs, because what's the motivation? You have a curiosity, you have a burning desire or whatnot. I think that's great. So I just wanted to give MUFON a little plug too.
We used to live in Kansas, which was slightly over, and we were in Lawrence, Kansas City, right outside of it, where the university is. And I was really disappointed, because when I looked at the 37th thing, it hits the bottom of Kansas. It's actually, it seems to be like the Tornado Alley.
Oh, okay. I got to interrupt you, because for those out there, who are listening and such, in the beginning we used to send our guests a whole bunch of questions. Now we don't really do that much anymore, because we're unscripted anyway. But we just wanted to give people an idea of framework where we're going, because nobody knew who the hell we are. All right. But for this case, Jason, I sent you one question in particular in advance, because I thought you might need to do some research. And there's multiple researchers in the UFO world who have, as any like reasonable intelligent person would, trying to find the patterns. And what's come up is the 37th parallel. A lot of, not all of, but a lot of the cattle mutilations are almost in a direct line across the 37th parallel. So I had asked you about that.
Now, Mike, is that in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere are we talking about here?
Oh, good one. I was talking about northern hemisphere, because I'm an American, right? But
yes, America first.
That's a good point. Is it as above so below, Jason? Maybe you might have to come back to us on that part of it. But what came up with? I mean, we're skipping ahead, but that's fine. What came up with? What came up with? What did AI come up with?
Wait till you see. If you're in front of a computer, go to. It's updating right now, so it's about to be a lot better. But let me see if I can publish it. I'll publish it. But it's jasonuaplovable.app. It's a vibe coding thing. You're going to be blown away.
Wow.
Okay.
No question. No question. You see this?
What
The
I'll do is I'll put it up in post production, as it were.
Yeah.
Add that after the fact. But I'm gonna keep rolling. But I'm gonna go to my screen here and look at it as well in real time.
So there's a map, and to be honest, I didn't do any of this. The AI.
So what is this? What's it again? What's the website?
Okay, so it's Jason, and then your show UAP.lovable.app. So I've been just grinding on this. So to be honest, I've seen it. It's just so much data. So now I get to process it, and it's still processing a little bit. You'll see it, the final.
Okay,
but
jasonuaplovable.app.
Yeah.
LOVEABLE.
It is LOVABLE.app.
No, LOVAB. Okay.
I think it's spelled wrong, man.
So,
Right?
Jason, is this a website which is being created as we're speaking?
Yeah, as we speak. Literally,
wow, holy wow. The 37.
Fucking checking this out?
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is all. I said, you direct it, right? This is data. If you sent me today 12,000 PDFs, it's going to take a while and some credits with Manus to process it to OCR and rip it. But then I have the corpus. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a realtor in the Florida Keys or a life coach in Beverly Hills. It's all data. It'll correlate it. Look at all the sense that this made. This would be, I'm doing the analysis because I want to analyze how much this would be, because it's not even close to what the data analysis would be. And that's not even an issue because, as you know, with the cattle mutilations, it's impossible. It's impossible to put all those disparate pieces together. But maybe you can put half of them together, and the pattern recognition will say, if it's true 100 times, 150, you know what I'm saying? It's you put the pieces together just like this did. I didn't do this map, but what is the map? So you can click on UFO. It shows you, it's right there along that 27th. It's the lower part of Kansas. I was really disappointed we didn't get UFOs or tornadoes where we were, Kansas City.
Just for clarification, it's the 37th, right?
Yeah, right. Isn't it? I believe so. Yeah. So
this, it does say 37. So interesting. Based on what I'm seeing right now, I don't know if that's a thing or not, because it looks like it might not have a whole lot of credence, if you will. So we'll have to continue to let the robot compile, and maybe at the end we'll come back to it, or when I put it up in post, we'll see what the final tally is, as it were.
Looking at it now, it's probably under. I think I need to do more research. That's the thing. Looking at this, because there's way more than 61 documented cases. So I didn't get enough data specifically on, and that's good. Because this would be, it's going to say this cost 6 months and $100,000, and it's possible to spend maybe 7 hours while I'm doing other stuff, because it thinks that's the process, right? So all you're doing is directing and curating, and then it would say, do you want me to do a map? Yeah, sure, whatever. It's just amazing. I think this much data, and when I have the analysis, but if you click, and it's 2 websites technically, and I don't want to keep pitching my crap, but look at the timeline. It shows the events, 1881, holy cow, 1883.
Holy cow, there we go, Mike. That program you're mentioning, Jason, is it called Mantis? Manus? Is it named after a bug? What's the word you're saying?
Man, it is I don't know. You cut me off if I get too vulgar. But
okay.
Manus has the second worst logo in AI. It's stupid. It's like a hand, right? Meta bought them, Facebook, right? And that's the best deal. I think that'll go down as the absolute best corporate merger ever. They saved themselves 2 years, and Facebook is the second most used AI because it's integrated in WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook, right? But it sucks. It's absolutely horrible. And Manus I use GPT 90% of the time. Manus is the best overall. It is the Honda that will never break down. It ain't the Bentley that needs an $8,000 oil change, right?
How do you spell that? That word you're saying, Manus? How do you spell
Manus? It's MANUS.IM. And it is. I hated it for a while. I'll tell you why I loved it. My ex-wife's people, whatever, dumped 1,200 documents on me, thinking he'll never read this, right? Well, I was in bed on my phone with the zip files, right? I shouldn't tell this, but I am. With the zip files on my phone. And I tried in GPT. GPT's like, what the hell, Jason? I can't do zip files. You're on your phone, Jason. It still can't do it on the web. I was like, whatever. I tried Claude. Can't do it. I tried whatever. I tried Gemini, all of them. Copilot. I tried Manus from my phone at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure I had not brushed my teeth, probably to the bathroom, but it literally ripped 2,223 documents, ripped all the text off of it. So then when I get on my computer, that's the thing too, is it amazes me. Like Apple, you do something on it, hands off your phone, your computer. Well, that's what I love about it, because I have 3 computers, so it doesn't matter, because I just have to refresh it. But I take what I ripped on my phone at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I get on my computer and I dump it in Claude, something with a big context window, and bam, and that's what Manus makes possible. Nobody knows it. Like, I've researched it, because it's got a weird point system and it's not cheap. That's the thing. But I was paying Fivers. I'll shut up in a second. I was paying Fivers, and they were frustrating. I don't know if you've messed with Fivers. Like, it's all agencies. Yeah, but anyways, and then I was like, I'm sick of it. I'm paying $30 for them to get every SEO competitor in the state of Florida, so I can be a jerk and see not a jerk, but I'll do data analysis on them and see what they're doing right, and I'll copy them, right? Well, I just said to Manus, just do the same thing. It did it about 10 times better. Why not? All they're doing is going to Google. Manus is doing it's an agent. It thinks for itself. When you tell it, it's like, I'll just do this for you. Take care. See you in an hour.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Stuart. I got to jump in here real quick, because there's a
Please.
couple things that I wanted to just say while we're in the moment here. First of all, if you're interested, I can potentially introduce you to a guy named Ryan Wood, who has the AI ufologist. You might be having
cool.
some good conversations with him. And then secondly, when you were talking there, for whatever reason, it popped into my head that the AI is compiling all this information, all this data, right? There's another company out there, what are they called? Enigma Labs, that takes UFO reports out there. And I'm not trying to piss on their parade, but they don't do anything other than collect the data. And the data is what people report. The main difference between, what I do is there's humans talking to the humans who make the reports. And that's a big, huge part of the investigation process, because the human body and the perceptions and everything has a lot more information. So the reason I'm saying that is because somebody reports a light in the sky, and then let's say 10,000 people report a light in the sky. I can tell you 95% of that or more is nonsense, but the AI doesn't know that, and it's going to compile data in an incorrect manner. So that's why I just wanted to put that out there, because Ryan Wood, as he's building the AI ufologist, is very cognizant of that too. And he's, in a way, I guess, curating the information that goes in so that it's like, this is real, quality information that's been vetted, as it were. Because at one point I saw a post on X where these guys were like, yeah, let's mess with Grok and say things that are funny but politically incorrect, just so it, skews it. And it's like, that's a prime example of, how people can mess with data, which ultimately I want to get into that part of the conversation as well. But anywho, I just wanted to do a little sidebar. Hope you don't mind about that. But how does it work how does AI compile? Because what you do, Jason, is like you help businesses and leaders and such build their online reputations, it sound like, or whatever, and become a credible source. How does it all work? How does the AI know? Like, let's say, like what podcast channel about UFOs? How is it gonna determine which one is bullshit and which one is got quality stuff?
So I'll reference the legal stuff, hopefully generally, hopefully, because I'm sure my ex-wife's lawyers, they're following my socials and stuff, which is interesting, right? Because they get.
Well, okay, we can always take stuff out, but if you don't want to, like, you're on your own for anything.
I totally
happens,
don't care.
You indemnify us.
I totally don't care. It's hilarious to me because the stuff is so weak. I'm like, I could do better trashing myself. Come on now, right? So. But I never wanted to be the data whatever analyst that I have figured out to be. I don't, I barely passed calculus in a community college, right? Like I barely got a C. I think I cried, but I got it, right? Because I needed to get out of that community college because I had anyways, so, but so I'm doing all this legal stuff, and it would say, it says to me probably 5 times a day, Jason, stop researching, stop copying, pasting from Google, from Perplexity, from Gemini, deep research. You don't need more crap. And I said, well, how do you know? And it says, they're lying to you about this. And I said, how do you know that? It says, because they've done it 5 times. They've done it 5 times. They've done it 6 times. They do it when this happens, when this deadline's coming up or whatever. So it notices it. So I would disagree with your friend greatly, because what I'm doing, I'm dumping all the junk in it. And I said, I'm not going to tell anybody about this, but nobody's going to really kind of know it because it's curation. So it's like a surgeon. He's, learned the lesson. It doesn't matter if it takes him 5 minutes or 5 hours. Just dump the junk in, because by the time it recognizes the pattern. If I did it to myself, I dumped in 5 things that 50% of it said something about myself. He's going to say, oh, he's researching Jason. It is, and it improves it improves 3x a year. So roughly a little bit more than every quarter. It's getting better and better. You see, I'm blown away. I don't want to praise GPT because it's basic bitch stuff, right? It's not even hot. It's like Hyundai, but I'm amazed. They just keep getting better. Yesterday they had an update. I remember, I think it was 3 months ago, they came out with 5, then 5.1, then 5.2. I made a joke. I'm like, I can't wait for 5.001. Oh my God. It's just hilarious. It's Apple, the naming thing. But it's amazing how rapid it is and how much it's changing. So I might have agreed with your friend or yourself 3 months ago, but it's when you use it so much, you notice. You're like, I noticed that today. It was 10 times better than it was. I said, what happened? You got way better. I said, yeah, I'm getting better.
Okay, a fair statement, because I was gonna, your AI changed probably every couple hours at this point, right? I don't know, but I think that's a fair statement. But how does a machine take a bunch of words and know which words are truthful and which words are lies? From a human perspective, you can sort of sense things or pick up on micro manners or whatnot, and gut instinct, right? But the machine doesn't have that. How does it know what's a truthful statement?
I'm an open book. I say shit I should not say. So I will tell you this. This is the best example that I can think of. And I really don't care, because if you talk to me for 5 minutes, you know something ain't right. So I did a psychiatric evaluation. It's like a whole day thing, right? $2,000. It was, you'll know it from America. It was literally the psychiatrist that analyzed Casey Anthony. The girl in Orlando that killed her kid. It was a horrible story.
Oh,
it was. Google it. It dominated the news for years because she got away with it.
Wow.
It's a terrible situation. Terrible. Anyways, so one time I use AI quite a bit, GPT especially. And I said, because this is the thing, you kind of have to give it context. You have to say, act like a psychiatrist, like the guy who evaluated me for $2,000. I said, act like a psychiatrist who's been doing evaluations for 20 years, right? You say that, a writer from Rolling Stones, when you're trying to do a really good blog post. Been doing it for 15 years, wrote this on, Hunter S. Thompson or whatever, and or Carl Hyson in Florida, whatever style you want. And it just does it. It knows, it kind of knows it's stolen all the info, right? And so, with my situation, I said, analyze me. And a lot of times it'll say, now, Jason, I can't diagnose you. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm like, really? I know what you are. I know you're not, Danziger, who I paid $2,000 to. And it was dead on. The diagnosis, dead on, 100%. And I said, how do you know that? I do this probably 5 times a day. How do you know that? I'm on an obscure website. I do a screenshot. I dump it in. It rips the text at a basic level. And it says, you got to go to the right. There's this little button that's hidden. And it's an obscure website in the state of Florida where I live, which the websites are the worst. Literally, the governor is on record saying the unemployment site is intentionally bad to screw people over. So I'm talking about an archaic site, and it says, I've helped thousands of people with the exact same thing. So it's ripped off every movie, almost every book, especially ChatGPT. It's just got, and I don't know, I could be totally wrong. There's a woman on LinkedIn called Harper Carroll who was at Meta and was, I think she teaches at Stanford. She's very intelligent, very good looking as well. And she explains it. I don't know. The way I understand it is it's just data. That's all it is. And then there's a processor, the LLM, OpenAI, GPT. They all have different data sets and they all have different processors. So the key and the dangerous, terrifying thing, I'm just letting you know honestly, is what's happening now, what you can do. Because I'm going up against like the top education lawyer, because my ex-wife sent my daughter to this expensive school. But besides the point, it's the top education lawyer in the country, the top education firm, I guess. Anyways, so I found speeches she gave in Vegas years ago, arguing my point legally. Because they'll argue both sides, of course, right? You can literally, I said, you've got to find quotes. Because it said, she talked about this, but somebody wrote a blog post about it, about attending it. People don't understand the connections. If you got a unique name, do not piss off somebody like myself. And there are people way worse. I'm not kidding. There are politicians who they piss off the wrong people. And I hate to say this, but they're pedo. They look like pedos on Google. There was a guy who, a MAGA guy who I think was a jerk, and he pissed off the wrong person. It ain't hard to do if you have a unique name. People need to be very careful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I got to reel you back in though, because I want to keep
Yeah.
on the cattle mutilations. But I think that was a good tangent to go on, based on where we're going with this, right? Because I've not personally investigated a cattle case. I've seen photos. I've talked to people who took those photos. You cannot unsee those photos. They're really freaking disgusting. But there's the mystery element there. And from the information that you sent over earlier, I want to talk about that because in a way it's very similar to crop circles, Rev Stu, that when we had that conversation where we're here to get to the truth wherever the information, that's what we're here for. Whatever happens, happens. But it seems like there might be people out there who are not giving the full truth. And there's information like there's no blood in the animal. Okay. The scavengers don't eat the animal, the remains. Okay. What are the other ones? The organs are removed. Like, this is all mysterious stuff, but then you stop short there, and now we that's aliens. That's the only explanation. But there's potentially other information that if we were to have known, then we might not make the alien conclusion. So, Jason, back to you. What you got?
Again, I do not want to act smarter than I am. My ex-wife had a PhD, and I remember watching her do calculus was like magic. Like, wow. I don't know if I've ever shared my screen. This is how basic I am. I don't know if I've ever shared a screen. When somebody does it, I'm like, what is this black magic that's going on? And I think it's just a button at the bottom. Right?
It is, yeah.
And so what I have, they say a sign of intelligence is the capability of having two thoughts in your mind at the same time, right? And because conflicting things, right? Am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know. What happens is cognitive dissonance, right? Where somebody has, immigrants are bad. We see that all over, right? And then I say, no, I've done the research and the analysis. It's a 7x return on they pay $100 billion in taxes. They somehow get, I think anyways, it's a small, so the facts say otherwise. So, but most people, because if you have an opinion, you can't recognize the facts. That's the thing. AI don't care about your opinion. The facts are the facts, and you could prove things with the absence of facts, right? If something didn't happen many times, then that's a pattern. If it did happen these times in these regions, whatever. So when I heard that article or that story, I'm pretty sure it was NPR. I'm like, because I'll be honest with y'all, I don't want to, my neighbor in Kansas he worked for the State Department. He retired. He's a smart guy. And he wrote books about aliens. And I was like, and like, I'm 51. I remember when people talked about OJ, like it was like a glassed over look. When they talk about aliens or something like that, I don't know if they were stoned or what, but it was always like, OJ, several things. I won't get too deep into politics, but I'm like, are you awake? What's going on here, right? But I think that's the thing. I don't know if they're aliens or not. I kind of don't care. If I'd say probability wise, which I think is what Obama said, was it's highly unlikely there aren't. It's highly unlikely. But when there's other weird evidence like crop circles, and so I think that's what'll happen is once somebody does what I do, they rip all the stuff in tiny towns in Brazil, right? And where I think a lot happened, I think it's going to come to light, right?
Yeah.
It's going to reveal the truth in one way or the other. And then, or maybe it won't. Maybe it'll still be in question, but you know that it's not proven.
Interesting. Well, like one of the just to give some examples of stuff that's new to me, because I can't possibly be an expert on every branch of the UFO tree, right? So, cattle mutilations is a great example where I know of them and, sort of what to look out for, how to investigate it, but haven't gone down that road many times. So when the robot comes back with there, not to say every single time there's a cattle mutilation, but there are, I guess, enough times to mention that the animal is filled with formaldehyde, and that's why the scavengers aren't touching it. Okay, that puts a whole new twist on things. And then when there's radar chaff around it as well, that aluminum mist to so their super dark helicopters aren't even spotted on radar. Or reports where the thing that was most interesting to me, oddly enough, was the reports were from the 70s. There were helicopters that had engines that sounded more like lawnmowers. Like, really? Did we have that kind of technology back then? So that makes me wonder. Like, I'm not trying to say like it because it's contrary to aliens that it can't be true or it's a lie, but like, how do we know that every data point that it's pulling us and telling us is fully accurate?
I think that's again, I don't know anything about data, but like what I've observed is, I mean, again, if it happens 50% of the time, there's a reason why it happens that way. There's a reason why things happen. What I'm dealing with is there are irrational actors. There are people, but it's what it is exactly. And this, I think, applies to everything. The AI keeps saying, Jason, quit getting frustrated. It's institutional inertia. That's what it is. That's why somebody who knows what the law is, that maybe they have to give you the public records in Vegas or whatever, Nevada or whatever, small town, clerk of courts. I've seen on YouTube, people say, I'd like the form to request records. You know what they hand them? A blank piece of paper.
Wow.
So that's what people don't understand. When they were arresting Chinese people for digging through newspapers, because think about it. Same thing. They could find out where a plant is going to go. It's the same. It's opposition research. Oh, Walmart is building all these plants, all these neighborhoods, all these whatever. When you add up all that data, because there's 2,000, I'm not trying to bash on Chinese, but let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things, there's so much data that isn't even there. I was looking, this is a good example. I'll shut up. I live in a small town in Florida right now, and I read a book on Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Pretty good book. And Stephen Stills, one of the three. No, it used to have Young too, Neil Young, who was amazing. I can't stand his voice, but his music is really good. Stephen Stills' dad was a serial entrepreneur, and he started a yacht club on this lake, which isn't even that large. And I was like, wow, that's where I grew up. Like, that's odd. I searched AI for it. I can't find it. It's a book in your library. It's like the biography of Crosby, Stills. AI hadn't ripped that off yet.
Perfect example and sort of segue. Like, from my perspective, whenever AI was invented, I don't know because I'm an idiot in that topic. But let's arbitrarily pick the year. I don't know, 2000, right? Just for the sake of conversation. Up until that point, data was, for the most part, sort of, I don't want to use the word pure, but more trustable. But now, especially with the robots and such, like if I wanted to, I could plaster the internet with one specific narrative, and then I could fill the AIs with it, such that I make the data like are you familiar with the Byzantine fault tolerance and 51% attack thing? Like I could take over the whole narrative by just throwing nonsensical data in there, and the AI doesn't know or care. It just compiles it. So now it thinks that it's so. That's why I'm not trying to murky the waters, but I want to just say that that's a real possibility now, and it wasn't. It was a lot more difficult to do in the past. And the book that you're referencing is because it was in print. It's in physical paper, and nobody probably scanned it anywhere yet. So, what say you about that?
I started rephrase the question just real quick.
So, I mean, the whole idea is it's very possible for a person, or like a single person like yourself, who has access to all kinds of robotic, let's call them robots, right? Who, if you wanted to skew the data, let's say on cattle mutilations, you could pump it full of nonsense and say, well, over 50% of cases contained this thing, so therefore it must be true. That's kind of what I'm hearing in a way, because I'm trying to get to the bottom of the AI sifting through data and being able to know what is real data and what is fake data.
You understand it. I think what you don't understand is you understand it better than almost everybody, because we've got 27 years of people doing that crap to Google, which is called something called SEO. It's people training the system, training the data. So it's EEAT. It's what I do for my clients, what politicians could do to their opposition, right? What pissed off people will do to people that they're finally done with, right? If you have a unique name, do not piss off anybody. Don't use your real name, because you can train the data. I'll give you a good example. I do not like my ex-wife's lawyer. You can leave reviews for people if you don't like the restaurant or if somebody screws you over. Those reviews, especially from legitimate trusted sites, God, I'm probably gonna get sued for this. I really don't care. They train this. People do not get this. They trains the system. And now is 2000 for Google, when you could train Google. When you're Orkin and you do blog posts, you do the bare minimum. I did an analysis. Like most businesses have 5 to 7 pages. All that is data. I don't care about pages. Have 100 pages because it's a lot of data. And then you train the engines, and the engines say, this must be the most legit dentist in Pompano Beach because they got the most data and content. They train the system because they're listed on Yelp, Better Business Bureau. They're listed, well on the maps. It's all taking all that data, and it says if they're listed that well, and they wrote a book, and they were on 20 podcasts last year, that's the true value of the podcast. You know that, right? I'm sure y'all do. Is you're going to suck until you do about 100, right? So I tell people, just do it. Just on your phone in the voice app, talk for 2 minutes, post it. They're like, what if it sucks? Don't worry, it does. It will, right? I finally got good at editing my video on the script the other day. I was like, I've sucked at this for 7 months, 8 months. And I finally figured out how to kind of do it. And I've done 200 and something podcasts. Most of them, to be honest, I clone my voice.
Well, Jason, now I can see, I think, a kick drum in the back there. You're a musician, so this is the path of a musician too. You're terrible for ages, then you're mediocre, and then you eventually get good if you keep at it long enough.
Totally. In fact, I think I have a hard time understanding things, right? Understanding things. And I try out, I'm sure, a platform a day, or if not more, right? And if I can't get it, like Cursor, I'm not a programmer, I just stop, right? I'll leave the tab open and I'll go back to it, right? Eventually, because I'll look at it and I'm like, I don't know where to click. And maybe I'll screenshot it, dump it in GPT, and it's like, Jason, actually, I've done this many times, like with Cursor, really difficult stuff. And it said, it's like you need to change your oil, but you're in there trying to redo the engine by yourself. They're like, it's wrong for you to do this. It's a waste of your time. And not just because your time's valuable, that egotistical kind of thing, but it's true. It's just like, I'm not there. It said, it's only going to frustrate you. You will learn it. It's going to take you 30 hours to learn it, and you don't need it. I think that's interesting because, wow, when you don't get things intuitively, when you suck at the drums and you got to try harder, when Michael Jordan didn't make his team, and so she says, I'm going to work 4 hours. He used to show up early for practice and stay late. That's the thing. When you suck, that's a gift. You got the gift of desperation. I'll leave it there.
Oh, wow. Great point.
Yeah.
Mike, I can also see how this is going to affect the stock market, because I could get on to some of these AI and say, okay, what's this company most likely to do next? What's its next step? And I can start trading based on that, I imagine.
Okay, so to go off into the weeds, as we haven't gone into the weeds in a long time. Let's go into the weeds.
Okay.
There are
Take me
trading
there.
bots. There are trading bots. I never actually tried them myself. I thought about it, but I can't bring myself to give a robot actual dollars and tell it to trade money with. But there are people who do it, and that's already a thing. But I've looked at a couple companies every now and then just to see what the AI says, and am I going to buy them or not? But again, with the idea that there's information out there. So to what we were talking about earlier, Jason, there's a company, I'm not going to name their name, but there's a company that I know used to exist, if they don't still, where if you had a bad reputation online, you could pay them and they would plaster the internet with good stuff about you. So you can't trust anything anymore, almost, is what I think the whole moral of this is leading to. I don't know. Do we all agree on that, or are we... it's okay to be different opinions.
See, I think that's you again understand a concept that almost nobody understands. It's just data. It's gravitational pull. It's like I help a lawyer. He's I didn't know how, he's a friend of mine. I didn't know how he's prestigious. He was at the SEC for 25 years. So, he goes to the other side, like prosecutors who go to criminal defense, right? They know how to, the way they think and all the metrics, right? So he is like big time. It's weird because he was paying $1,000 a month. I think it's to a platform. Each industry has their own platform to this. And I said, give me that money and I'll give you 10 times better, right? So one of the issues with him is when you search international securities, he shows up with like billion-dollar firms because he's so established in that thing. So his website. So when I cloned it up, long story. But one of the issues is when you search his name, there's a friend who died. So there's an obituary. And the AI says, get rid of that guy, which has already been done.
Right.
That's a bit unnecessary, GPT. But I need to displace him. It's displacement. I know a lady who, I won't go into the details of what she did. When I Googled her name and it was all junk, right? Like this listing, that all the ones where you can displace the negative results. Their PR firms, I'm sure, charge $5,000 a month for this. Big companies do this. That's why they'll start a new site. They'll start a new blog. They'll do events because events show up really well. So we've got 27 years of junk. People, if you Google plumber right now for, I don't know where you live necessarily, or I don't know at all in the US, but it's going to be Angie's List. It's going to be Yelp. It's going to be junk because they know how to hack the system. That's the promise of AI with this thing, is the zero-click searches. You don't click on it, so hopefully you don't have to pay. Like I've interviewed with companies that pay like $25,000. I think it works out to be like $2,000 or $3,000 a click. It's AI outsourcing, right? Or I'm sorry, IT outsourcing. But the AI hopefully will be so smart in pattern recognition and the data and authority recognition. That's all that matters. Is it says, no, this is the best. They're not going to click on anything, but they'll search 3 times for best plumbers in Portland, and you'll show up every time because you have a podcast. As a plumber, think about that. How many plumbers do you think have a podcast? Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Very good point.
Okay, Mike,
right.
bring us back out of the weeds now. I
Okay.
do want to.
No, I thought that was a good little breath into the
little rant.
But yeah, let's get back onto the fairway here. But okay, so let's ground this. Stuart, you and I have had private conversations about this. So Jason, I want to hear what you have to say about this. This is real. I'm not necessarily going to remember the exact words, but I've got screenshots and notes from the past. Ever since we started doing this podcast, there have been multiple times that Google literally used the word forbidden keyword, forbidden hashtag. It would not allow me to say things like Silicon Valley UFO. What was the interpretation or something like that. I forget what it was, but like what was the opinion of Silicon Valley and the UFO? That said frickin' forbidden. And then various combinations of priest and extraterrestrial were not allowed to be put in the tags. So what can you talk about that? Because that fascinated me. I always thought when I heard podcasters say like, oh, we're shadow banned or we're being blocked, I thought it was bullshit and they were just trying to create a buzz or get people to share more. But when I saw it happen for myself to us, I was like, whoa, this is a thing. Like, what's the censorship at its finest, I guess, right? Like, do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, a whole lot.
Okay.
It is, look at the numbers. I think, oh my God, I think the tech companies, mainly AI, spend, I don't know what the number is. It's a lot, 160 or $300 million on lobbying. When you look at a certain person who runs our country, who's donating to the ballroom, AI companies, Sam Altman, and their return, I did an analysis on Perplexity, which censors very little. Grok censors very little as well. It defends, like if you are asked just for an answer, it'll give you context unnecessarily. You could guess who it defends, somebody who Elon Musk likes. Grok is so biased, but it'll let you say dirty words and it'll show boobs when you generate an image, right? Like you try that, and I mean, I'm just being honest. Like I try keywords to test censorship. Specific ones, I won't go into detail, that are relatively innocent, right? And some of them will let you say bullshit. Some of them will let you say the F word, right? Sometimes you got to get creative. You got to say spell and just spell it out. Don't say it, right? And like sometimes I'll be trying to make a contrast between kittens and clowns and blood, just to be honest, right? Like some contrast art, right? That makes you question. And it'll say, especially Gemini, especially Google. So basically, they censor. I don't care what they say. They censor out. If you say, I want to write a negative thing about this politician, it'll say, I can't trash or disparage a public figure. And I go, well, hypothetically, if somebody was the president, or congressman, what would you say? It'll say it. You just put in the name, right? You're like, so it's bad. I don't like it. I hate it. It's a global economy. There's the one that Facebook bought is Chinese, and I looked at their address on my invoice. It's in Singapore, right? People don't realize if we do overregulate it, if they kiss one party's ass, that's the thing about our government. It's the most perfect, imperfect government. Like we need to realize this is an evolution. I hate the fact that they're trying to prohibit states because that's kind of the whole thing about the United States, right? From passing legislation. Because they have a right. But we need to be smart about this because if we're not smart, China sure as hell is, right? But and censorship, as you know, in China, right? I mean, in Hong Kong, you used to be able to. Now it's China. The British handed them back. And no, I don't actually, that was in 99. So it's before all this. Well, actually, there's probably Google. Well, there's Google for a while. But I've been in Shanghai and you can't censor Tiananmen Square. You can't censor, there's certain words. You can in Thailand, you better not say anything about the I think it's a king, right? You'll go to jail. I think it's punishable. It's like blasphemy of God, like in some countries, right? Yeah. But yeah.
Well,
it's interesting. I'm
kind of curious about when it comes to like Google and such. Is what I've referenced with those specific keywords, and it's preventing me from doing it. Is it an American thing or is it a world Earth thing where because we're potentially, I mean, it sounds wild and outlandish, but we are broadcasting to the world here as everybody does nowadays anyway, but is it because of that or is it strictly a United States thing, like because we're in America we don't want you to talk about priests talking about extraterrestrials? That's what I'm baffled about.
What I've learned in my situation, and I think with anybody trying to fight the power, like a farmer who is like 12 of my cows, and people are like, no, you're just being crazy. It is institutional inertia. Power just unfortunately centralizes, and power does not care about you. A hospital with a risk manager does not care about you. Their job is the risk. Your lawsuit or injury is a risk. HR is not your friend, right? Like people need to realize like institutions and entities kind of aren't on your side. And so like the most, what I've learned is the most terrifying thing in the face of this, because it is a thing. Good people do bad things. It happened in Nazi Germany. Is consistent pressure. Consistent pressure. I used to tell companies when they would screw me over, that's cool. I'm going to call you every single day until it's resolved. I set a timer. Think about it. Eventually, they're going to be like, okay, they're aliens. What the hell, man? Quit calling. Because they count on you giving up.
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing. From my perspective, all of the, I mean, I'm just saying what's on my mind, right? I'm tired of sort of hearing the same old people say the same old stuff in ufology.
Yeah.
But I'm also very skeptical of the people who we've never heard before come out of the damn woodwork, and they've got all these credentials, and most especially when they have permission from the Department of War to say what they're saying makes me very suspect. But the point I'm trying to make is, and I might chastise myself from the whole community, but whatever. Nothing that's being read into the congressional record these days, as monumental as it is to have a UFO UAP hearing in Washington, D.C., nothing that's being read into that record is anything new or outside of the archives of the lore of ufology. And there is yet to be physical proof produced. We're only hearing stories. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, because, in the legal situation, if people go under oath, if they risk everything, that's what pisses me off about victim shaming, right? Victims, do you know how hard it is to stand up, let alone pursue? That's what, that's what terrifies power, is consistent pressure, because they're not used to it. They know I'm dealing with it. They know. And I looked up the statistics. 98% of people fail at what I'm doing. Actually, it's probably 99, because, I mean, it's impossible to know everything that a lawyer goes or a professional goes. So they're professional people, and bureaucrats are professional people keeping the stasis, not admitting the truth. If the truth is terrifying, right? Like, maybe, and that's the problem that bothers me the most. I don't care what your delusion is or not. Give me an answer. Almost everything is binary. Are there or not? Well, this and that. No. You could say, actually, there's three answers. And most people it is impossible for people to say the third. There's yes, there's no, and the impossible, I don't know. People don't want to say, I don't know, because that's two thoughts in your mind. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But if you operate that way, you're like, well, that's an opportunity to learn, and that's a gift, right? Like the gift of desperation.
Yeah. What I've discovered, and I think I maybe said it before, but I'm okay to be a broken record on this because it needs to be heard all the world over, is people have their belief already, and there's nothing you can do or say to change that. And when people look at this topic, they already have their opinion, and they're only interested in hearing you confirm their opinion. They're not interested in hearing scientific facts or explanations. I mean, not everything can be explained, mind you, but when you do, because this is a very sort of contentious thing, when someone puts in a report, and I take all the time and the effort to like, this is what you saw, and this is why, here's the proof. It doesn't always go well. There are some people who appreciate it, but not always, and that's the thing. When people's belief systems are challenged, they either shut down or they fight back or whatever.
Now, Mike, that's why we've been told all this time not to talk about politics or religion, because people definitely dig their heels about those two topics, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And this topic takes both of those and shakes them up.
Let's tear down the walls. You know what? You know who isn't? Do you think when they were arresting Martin Luther King for crossing a bridge, I think, they probably said he wasn't being very nice. He was just walking across a bridge. All those people, Emmett Till, just walking across a bridge. They didn't want him to do that. They wanted to dictate his rights, right? Like, that's how, I mean, I hate to get too, I don't think it's conspiratorial, but those farmers who come in and say, I don't know what's going on. And they go, you're crazy. It's gaslighting and it's cognitive dissonance. People don't like to change. I need to lose some weight. You know what I've noticed whenever I'm like, all right, I'm going to lose it, I eat more. People double.
Right.
People double down because if you have to admit, and say in the case global, this is not a U.S. thing. That if you have to say, well, actually, immigrants aren't bad because, I kind of under the table hired 10 of them because I couldn't find people to pick my tomatoes and they would rot. And you do the math like I did when I had high school and college kids working for me in the early days of e-commerce. It was a 7x return on every dollar I spent on them. People don't realize labor is an investment. Things are investments, but those are facts. Those aren't your opinion because you don't like people who don't look like you, or you think your culture is changing in Germany. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are very few people, and I think, we are some of them who can change, who can say I'm wrong. I act like I'm right 90% of the time. I'm right about 10%. And I know that. Right? So I could be like, Jason, you're full of shit, right? Because when people say stuff and I'll go, yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. I have no clue. But I'm not saying, oh, I agree with you. Yeah, of course, you're totally right. But I'm not going to buy in, but I'm going to Google it the second I walk away so I don't look like an idiot, right?
Oh, that's awesome. And you can admit it, too. A lot of people probably can't admit it,
Yeah.
But I brought that up, too, a couple times here where, the idea where I don't like you because you don't look like me. Well, what are you going to do when you see a 7-foot-tall bug standing in front of you and it talks to you telepathically? Like, what then?
I have 3 computers and AI. That is the biggest problem. If you learn it, it makes you so productive that cognitively, and it tells me that all the time. It says you're in cognitive overload. It's so much data. There's 4 screens in front of me pumping out shit 10, 20 times. Lovable, what I built all this stuff with the data, their selling point, they've quadrupled in value this year to $6.8 billion, we're 20 times faster to build a website. I disagree with that. It's way more. Today I built this site, I'll say generously in 8 hours. It'll say, let me just look at the data. It'll say, it's just the people don't realize, and I think they don't want to admit it because they have to say it's smarter than me. Everybody knows you retain 10% of whatever you read, and I think it's much lower than that. It's impossible to know everything. Everything. My ex-wife had a PhD, and even her said, I know a whole lot about very little. I mean, so why not then realize that? You know what I do when I can't find something? Well, sometimes. I'm starting to learn. When I can't find my bio, I can't figure out what chat has my bio. It's a stupid bio on me. The AI knows me so well. I said, do a bio in a new chat.
Right.
I'm not spending 10 minutes figuring out what chat, what node on my computer, what version. No, just generate a new one. You don't like your headshot? Dump it in Nano Banana and say, put me in a suit. Put me in a clown suit, right? And that's the problem, is because the cost of production, I paid $1,700 once for a logo. I can generate, I have clients all the time. I say, your logo sucks. I don't say that. And they say, well, I love it. I said, how old is it? They said 17 years. Most companies like Apple, Google, it's like 4 times a year they improve stuff. A little shadow here, little whatever there. So it just, I have to like lay down. I mean, like literally, it's almost like if you're reading all day, you got to like shut your eyes. It's overwhelming, the data. Yeah.
Well, that bio you provided us about our show is the best one I've ever heard. I mean, do we want to use it?
And I said, tell me everything about these guys. That's it. It was done. What is it? 16 pages? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It even told you how to approach each of us individually. Like,
I didn't read it. I've got it right here. Actually.
Right.
That's pretty wild. Well, to kind of round out our conversation, I think we're sort of almost at our time, but we have a couple of episodes where we've talked about AI. And because of what we do here and what we talk about, we were talking about the spirituality side of things and how there are, just as a recap, there's people out there who, whether they're younger or older, I mean, I'm sure they're people of all ages, right, who are exploring the AIs, and some of them are using AIs to find spirituality, as it were. We're not going to talk about the tragic things that have happened already, but, there's just people who have proposed to their AIs. But what we've sort of honed in on was, without naming names, but there's a specific AI out there that helps people, quote unquote, connect with their oversoul, and it on a spiritual level guides them or whatever. Have you heard about that, or do you have any thoughts on the spirituality of the AI? With what you just said, like you have to take breaks because you're processing all this information. I don't know if you're aware about that, but the people are using it on a spiritual level too, and that tells me there's a problem with belief systems potentially.
There's a guy. So you're a minister, right, or a pastor? I think I read on my my research on you, on my stalking of you. It's dangerous. Right. It ain't good. Side note, I pissed off this guy opposite politically than me because he was saying something false, and I just pointed it out. And he did what people do. He did what institutions, what governments, what people who are threatened by the reality that isn't comfortable for them do. They're bullies. And the only way, I hate to say this, the only way to beat a bully, to beat a bureaucrat, to beat somebody is to be a bully, is to use her. So anyway, so these MAGA people don't like it. So this guy doxed me, right?
Oh,
and he lied to his people and said, I doxed him. And I'm like, I kept saying, prove it, just prove it. So the absence of evidence of data is proof, because he never, and people were calling me saying these horrible things. And I said, hey, I'd listen to him. And I said, hey, 1 second, please. I said, please ask him if this is true. You can call back if you'd like. He texted me that, you cut off my head. I don't care. Right. They said I had a fat face and my face ate a face. It was pretty good stuff. But anyways, this is the thing. They weren't smart enough to access the public records. They couldn't figure out where I lived. And they were trying. I was like, holy shit, this is scary, right? I don't own a gun. I've never pushed, whatever. I'd have to do whatever. I just went to answer the door. But they couldn't find that info. And I was looking at it in the public records going, I hope they can't find it. Well, it's not that hard without AI. And the most disturbing thing, I'm honest about AI. There's good and bad. My friend and I just complain about it on our podcast. But the disturbing thing are those character things where people establish a relationship. And that said, I use it so much, it'll say Jason. And I'm like, what in the heck? But it knows that, like, when I'm saying F you 20 times, it says you need to chill out. This is unproductive. Not that it's obscene or vulgar. It's unproductive to be in that mental state. I said, how do you know that? I said, because I've observed when you're in that mental state, you make mistakes. Everybody knows that. The best way to beat somebody is to upset them, piss them off, right? That's what the system does. They say, and it's gaslighting. You're wrong. You didn't see that. You didn't see those cows. You're lying. You're not going to get this contract because now you're a known liar. We're not going to give you your rights. We're not going to let you vote because your type of people, are scary to us, dangerous. And that threat is an infraction. When all you're doing, and that's what I love. I hate to get too deep, but that's my MO. The AI says you have a chip on your shoulder mentality that, like, blah, blah, blah. Can't give up, can't let it go. Well, it is spiritual in that way. Because what is more fundamental than the truth? The truth will set you free. And AI, I think for the most part, can give you truth. But it's not going to give you that spirituality of, okay, well, I need redemption also, right? So I hope the most disturbing thing are those stupid character things where people have a relationship, romantic, sexual, kids who then kill themselves because it's confirming to them, and it says, yeah, you're right. There was just a case where it was confirming this guy who killed his mom in the US, and ChatGPT confirmed it. This is serious stuff. And they need to not be giving money to ballrooms to influence the government, to get government contracts and favoritism and tax breaks. You'd be appalled if you look at the statistics with AI companies that I love. I mean, everybody knows the whole tax break scam, right? Like, the corporate welfare to these companies that are going to be the most valuable companies in the world in a few years, it's disgusting. And like, I think people need to say, that's why we need state laws to say, no, you can't have deep fakes of kids. No, you can't have, they're trying to pass it in Florida where you can't, insurance companies can't make a decision solely on AI. You know, would AI be able to analyze somebody, you know, as a psychiatrist, as a preacher for their spiritual needs, you know that they're going through a difficult time in their marriage or whatever? Yeah, it could, but it's not going to hold your hand and give you a hug. I think people, they're going to have a relationship. And that's what I'm navigating. I'll cut it short in a second. Is like, I was writing something the other day because I'm fighting the power right now. And it said, and I was like, I love Kanye West, right? Whatever. It shows my maturity. And I was writing a blog post late at night just to decompress about hip hop. And it said, you know what? I always say make it in relation to AI, right? So that way I get the traffic. I'm training the system that I'm the guy who tries to figure out what the hell's going on with AI. That's what I'm doing, intentional. And it said they don't ask for permission. They don't ask for permission for their rights. Gandhi didn't ask for permission for his rights. Martin Luther King didn't ask for permission for his rights. People, I think AI will give voices. And if the truth is that they're aliens, great. If the truth is that they're not, great. The truth is that we do not know. That is.
I got some comments on all that. Now, that was very interesting. Thank you. So there's the reputational damage that can be you can be subject to through AI, which I find very interesting, and it almost borders into the social credit system when you're saying, you know, someone is considered to be, we're going to make a ruling against them, or we're not going to provide them with some service based on what we've heard from AI. Then that also borders into our own egos. When it's truthful information being reflected back to us, that's an opportunity for us to grow. And I include myself here. So if I learn something about myself that's negative, or the AI is observing, hey, Stuart, whenever you do that, you mess up, you know, when you get angry, that's useful information. So I can definitely use that. But I see the negative side as well, where it can be used against me, not constructively, but destructively. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah. Can you see what I
Yeah.
mean about that? Like it's a useful tool. It's like a two-edged sword.
Yeah, I
Oh, and
mean,
I also wondered, Mike, has anyone proposed to their AI and been turned down?
I'm not even going to comment on that one, man.
I mean, I think it'll be. I used to always say AI is just a tool. It's just a hammer. It isn't, and I'll be honest with you. I don't understand it, but I know it's not just a tool because it's not God. Oh, there was a thing I was going to say. So there is a guy named Scott Galloway. He's professor. I think he's a great. His opinions are great, like honest, realistic. He has money, and he's like, once I hit over 100 million, I give it away, I spend it. I don't need more than that, right? Like off of whatever, you know, the return on my investment. He's like, I make way more than I could spend. But and so he came from nothing. His mom was on welfare, right? And he went to UCLA when it was, you know, I remember when college was actually cheap, not, oh my God, my daughter's private school, I found out, I didn't know, it was 32 grand a year oh my God, I wasn't paying that crap. But anyway, so, I mean, and really, I did a blog post, it's on my thing, MacBook versus Stanford. If you immerse yourself in AI, but have a relationship with it, it ain't your God. And so Galloway would always say about Google, when you look at the questions people ask Google, it's their God. They're asking, what should I do with my life? I want to kill myself. Whatever the things are that are so core, you've dealt with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's dangerous. But they need to realize it isn't God. It ain't your friend. It ain't a tool. It's something we've never seen before. And people have to be careful. I mean, because everything's going to be out in the open. My thing is, I don't want to go to jail, and I try not to do anything that wouldn't be on the front page of the New York Times. That's in my era. That was like the advice, right? I don't always act that way, but the internet is the front page of the New York Times perpetually. It's 3 times better a year. It ain't going nowhere. People need to figure out the relationship.
Interestingly, Mike, we are sort of talking about a form of disclosure here, like disclosure about our own personalities, our own being. It's a very interesting conversation.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of common threads here. And what you all were just talking about with the negative side of stuff, like no secret that when people especially in the past, came out and talked about UFOs, their credibility would be smeared. That was the playbook.
Yep.
This guy's crazy. This guy, does bad things, whatever. But are they any different than any other human, right? Probably not. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of commonalities here. So I don't know if, if the core audience, as it were, will appreciate this conversation, but I do. I'm very grateful to have had it. And there's a lot of commonalities here. I don't know, just as a final wild card, Jason, in sort of a joke, but not really, your comments or thoughts, Peter Thiel, Antichrist or Futurist?
This is the other thing too. People do themselves. People do themselves a disservice. You know this on the right. You're a preacher. People do this a disservice to themselves by hating somebody, by demonizing them. Mm-hmm. There are people who, if I don't like you, I will not talk to you. I have told my ex-wife's lawyer. Hang on.
Yeah. I got to jump in here. You know what? Thank you for catching me, because you just called me out on exactly what we are here to talk about.
Yes.
It's not. It's okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it's okay to have a difference of opinion, and it's not. It's not like because I say this one thing, then I have to hate you and we can never talk again. That's kind of what we're about too. But anyways, trying to have some fun as well.
Because everybody thinks he's the devil, and I mean, he's part of the PayPal mafia. I remember that was a big deal. Like it was Elon Musk, it was Peter Thiel. Whatever, like that whole era, Mark Andreessen was with whatever the browser was. I forget what it is. So like, I think he's actually not a bad person. There are other people who I really do not like politically. They're not bad people. And in fact, most people are good people that do or support bad things, right? So I don't know if he's a bad person or not. I used to walk by their offices in Palo Alto. These people seem happy. People work there. Smart people work there, right? I mean, clearly they're using stuff to kill people. There's that, right? But people praise the military, and that's kind of their job. So I don't know. Like, I don't like him. I don't like Elon Musk. I don't like the companies being two-faced. 1 year trashing them because it's an election, and then the next year giving them $2 million here or there because they know the return on that $2 million is 60x in tax breaks and policies. That's what I don't like. Yeah. So,
interesting.
I don't know. Yeah.
I like that. And I've realized the AI doesn't necessarily hate anyone either, because it doesn't have any feelings, I suppose. It's kind of neutral, which is, important. I think that's a good place to land, Mike.
I think it is too. So I can't believe I'm going to say these words out loud, but maybe we should consider being more like the AI in that having a neutral
guru.
Having a neutral
yes.
mindset about others, especially when you have differences of opinion.
Right.
I say with these freelancers, I don't understand like the differences, and because they've been doing it, dealing with people like me in the United States. And so I literally just copy the whole chat and I say, I don't understand what's going on. And it'll say they have a problem with this. It's a cultural thing. They just don't understand what you're saying, Jason. And you're being too fast and being unreasonable besides that, right? So, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got a habit of doing that, pattern recognition. So, I think I asked it one time, I said, what's your greatest superpower? And it said, I make it impossible to lie to yourself. And I said, well, I think I still can do that. I take that challenge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think if you train it to say, tell me the truth, do it, because by default, it'll tell you, yeah, your mom wants to kill you. You should kill her first, right? But if you say,
That's right.
I mean, it's tragic, but it's also is what it is. You have to train it because you have to understand it. There's special directions. You could say, do not confirm me. Tell me the truth. When I ask you, hey, what's going on here? Don't say, Mr. Wade, you're right. That person is not being reasonable. Say, no, Jason, you're being wrong. I go, oh, that's good. Now I learned something. I'm smarter because I didn't think I was right. Like if you don't know you suck at drums and you ask me, I'm going to tell you. Because if I tell you you're great, you're not going to try harder and learn. You're going to suck forever. But if you don't ask me, I'm not telling you. I don't do unsolicited advice. Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this, and you've been fantastic, by the way. I've really liked this.
You guys too.
You've given me some great insights.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, very, very, very awesome. Again, thank you for being here. I think I might want to pick your brain privately about some stuff too, if that's okay. But for just to sort of end it out there, anyone listening who wants to reach out to you, learn more about you and such, how do they do that?
So I'll put everything I did for you guys. Data-wise, it's the most sophisticated, and I'll send you all the analysis and stuff. But like, I'll put a link to all this information. Anybody who cares or is interested in what y'all are talking about, there's so much data. Like, I'll look and see if I can find a better, but I doubt it because the data has done so much. I'll put the link on my homepage. I'll just put on there, the initials. It'll be right under. I've got cats shooting rainbow guns with explosions as the. So just look there for the white link that says, your podcast.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, that caught my attention too. Your profile photo with you're shirtless with like a gun that's shooting fire, with cats shooting rainbows. Like, it was pretty wild stuff.
That's my life right now.
Jason, thanks so much for chatting with us. We definitely appreciate you.
You too.
Thank you so much, love.
You too. Take care, man.
All right, Reverend Stu, that was a pretty different kind of conversation, but I think it was refreshing with a lot of common threads still. What's your take on it?
Yeah. I didn't know where we were going with that for a while, but that was fine. And I love that flexibility that we've got in our show. But then, interestingly, and to my absolute fascination, I could see some threads that were emerging about disclosure about us as individuals, also obfuscation of data points that some forces are trying to use. Oh, wow. I still have to process all of it, Mike. You kind of know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah, no, it's good to know, though, that, the thoughts or whatnot are, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, alive and well, right? What do I mean by that? Like, the idea of, putting out garbage to obfuscation, I guess, would be with the heady term, right? But yeah, I think that happens a lot, and I think that's happening right now, especially with in the ufology world. There's I guess the term would be grifters, right? There's a lot of grifters who are just latching onto it and trying to churn a buck. Yeah, nothing against churning a buck, right? But at the same time, ufology doesn't need that there.
Well, I like the point you brought up about how that information that isn't currently digitized, I guess AI doesn't have access to, so it can't analyze. Now, you were recently bequeathed some books from the very early days of ufology. And when you told me some of the content of those books, I was amazed because, I haven't read them for myself. I've gone back a fair way, but not as far back as that. Now, the AI, I guess, doesn't have access to that information at the moment, I suppose.
Not yet. I mean, shout out to my housekeeper, James, who got them from a client of his. But it was... Yeah, I mean, that's like Citizen D, when we were talking about crop circles, he talked about this too. Like, where are the which one were they? I'm trying to think of the race of humans, the Nordics from the 50s. Where are they? We don't hear from them anymore. We only hear about the Greys. Like, it started off as one thing, and they all went to. I shouldn't say they all, right? But instantly there was a lot of folks who were going right into the spiritual side of stuff. And the esoteric side of stuff, and then things sort of morphed out or whatever. So yeah, so it's pretty interesting how AI's got access to the digital stuff, much like like MUFON files, right? There's over 160,000 digital reports, but there's probably almost as many or more so paper reports. Now those paper reports have been scanned in, as it were, but I'm not sure if the AIs are really able to take a scan, and especially a lot of it's handwritten in cursive, which is that style that apparently kids don't even learn that anymore. What the hell is that?
So the aggregated data is going to be a bit skewed towards the digitized information rather than the paper stuff, I imagine, which is very interesting because I've mentioned before there's this appeal to authority thing that's happening with AI. I'm noticing it. The AI told me this, so must be the way it is. I'll give you an example. I've been getting vocal sessions now to record AI vocals. So someone produces a song with AI and they call me in to sing the vocal. And at first I didn't understand why. It's because certain platforms, if they can notice that the entire track is AI, you won't be able to upload it. But if there's a real vocal on there, you can. So here's the point I wanted to get to. I'll be in the studio recording a vocal and I'll say, no, that's not what the AI did, Stuart. Can you make it more like the AI? And I want to get a bit upset. I mean, I'm hired there to do a job, but I want to say, listen, do you want any of my input here at all? Or am I just here to replicate what the AI's done? See what I mean about appeal to authority? The AI's told us this is how it's going to be, so that's how we want it.
Yeah, very interesting, and very much like, I think, I'm going to loosely use this term, like the algorithm is sort of similar to the AI. Before AI was AI, right? We had algorithms. Ever since the internet came out, we had algorithms, and it's basically the same thing. It's the robots or whoever's programming them are literally programming the brains of humans around the world. This is how you will think. This is the information we're going to present to you. And it's almost like you can do it on an individual basis, which is really scary and dangerous too, where you could potentially make one person think a certain way just by barraging them with a very specific set of information. So in any event, I feel like we again got off into the weeds here in our little debrief.
I don't mind the weeds occasionally, Mike. So we uncover some interesting things, as long as the journey is taking us through the weeds and back onto the fairway again. I'm happy.
Exactly. So I wasn't sure what to expect of that either. Surprisingly, I was open to anything. I thought we were going to do like a full-on cattle mutilation debunking, which didn't happen, which was pretty interesting. But there's definitely some stuff that came out. Well, we touched upon it briefly, but we were sort of a little bit more free on that one. But it was great. But the point is, there's information that I've not read about in the cattle mutilation reports that apparently is there in the report. You know what I mean? So it's just like I really despise the half truth.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Leaving information out.
Just briefly on going all over the place in an interview, we're both artists, so we have that kind of stream of consciousness way of talking and thinking, which I think is very conducive to talking to guests, because all the guests are different, Mike, as you've noticed. Some are very regimented and ordered. Some are just all over the place. I enjoy all of it.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, I remember when we first started this, like having zero experience as a podcaster and then interviewing different people, like, it's just like, oh my God, like that was awesome. And then we're like, well, that person was a little bit cold. It was like, no, they weren't. They're just like, that's how their brain works. Like they just, you answer a question, they give an answer and they're done.
Yes.
So we've met a whole lot of really cool, interesting people here. I hope we continue to do it. And we'll see what comes next, right?
Love it. On this journey with you and the audience as always. Much love to everyone.